Yeah, what I want to talk to you guys about is the issue of why daydreaming is actually a good thing. Surprise. I know a lot of people are wondering, how could daydreaming actually be a good thing? For people who are teachers, they find it quite annoying and all that sort of stuff, but you have to read between the lines, okay? For the issue of daydreaming. Now, what is daydreaming? Daydreaming is pretty much if you're really bored, you just simply are in your head and you're just thinking all the time about possible ideas that can make the world a better place. That's what I'm getting to later, but it's more like you're just simply focusing specifically on what you're interested in, your hobbies, uh, you you know all that sort of stuff. Like maybe you might be imagining being a video game player or a Pokemon, and just imagining different things for just out of fun because you're bored. So I think the best thing to deal with the issue of daydreaming is to actually think productively. If you're a daydreamer, is to think about things, okay? Like if you're daydreaming, like let's just imagine you watched a movie you're really interested in, a science fiction. Yeah, it's always science fiction, but that's simply the truth about it. Let's just imagine you're just thinking about science fiction. If you're thinking about science fiction or something, you might come up with a good idea that might actually make you a better at what you're you know that might actually make the world a better place. Like let's just imagine you're thinking of fusion, of a fusion idea. Like you watch this cool movie on, maybe, like, for example, this is not really being scientific, but let's just imagine you came up with an idea of fusion being a method of travel. If you're daydreaming, you might actually think, and come up with different ideas of how it's possible. You might simply imagine, there's chemicals, like maybe we use these certain chemicals because I heard from some other information that these chemicals are actually the best out there. And and the ideas are there's really a ton of ideas. You might even think, of more productive methods. You might think of methods such as like, for example, you might just think of shifts. Shifts, like maybe the best idea to get it done is we would hire young people to go work there. They would do a shift. They would do a shift for their volunteer hours, then they would leave. And because so many people are volunteers, we have so many volunteer hours, it's more likely we can actually make this idea possible, through all the easy manpower. Like that's not a main idea. I don't know if it's even possible to do that, but it's just an example. Like if you daydream a lot about those things, if you're focusing on something you're interested in, there's no stopping you from being able to come up with good quality ideas that actually make some logical sense. And not just that, you can also think about ideas that can help you be a better person, okay? Like you might think to yourself, how could I be more effective at being able to get my job done? Being able to get as much work done as possible when I'm in my house, and when I'm just doing things around the community. Um, which pretty much, to sum it up, just means just learning how to focus, and getting your task done. If you're daydreaming, I know people might find that boring, but you might find it a cool idea. Like maybe you might think of it as a cool idea of being this better person, of being this productive person, or how can I reach my life goals more effectively? Like, should I think of this idea? Like, for example, you might simply think, maybe it's kind of good if I'm looking for a job that maybe I simply do work that I just simply think about the job, and I focus specifically on the sector I want to focus on, and what exactly it's good for. Like, if I'm interested in food, should I pick a job, where I'm interested in the preparation, or am I interested in the actual cooking part of it, and just simply playing around with ideas in general, because some people I would imagine might be more interested in the preparation if they're maybe someone who's interested in learning how to actually cook. They're a novice because they're learning about being around the seasonings and stuff. And for the people who are better, they might be more interested in the actual cooking process to be able to learn how to actually perfect their skills. So that's just one. So these are just examples of why it's actually a good thing. To be honest with you, it just gives you the ability to think. Um, the only issue I think that's with this theory is just simply the issue of safety. Okay, if I'm doing this sort of idea, I want to make sure that I'm being safe in the process. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid. I'm not going to be like thinking about this idea when I'm in a parking lot. And that's when the issue of I think self-control comes into place. And who knows, maybe you could use the daydreaming strategies yourself to at least if you receive permission from one of maybe your parents and your own discretion and your teachers and all that sort of stuff, to be better able to make sure that you don't injure yourself in the process when you are daydreaming. you know when you daydream, you might simply think for daydreaming, like maybe it's, I come up with the best ideas possible to make sure I don't go into this parking lot. Because sometimes if you might be the person who tends to daydream a lot, maybe a Piscean or whatever, sometimes and I think maybe it's just like this for all Pisceans, is that it's sometimes very hard to just be able to focus. You just sometimes just lose interest because you realize that this world is just a really boring place. Like seriously, it's just a really, really, really boring place, and you just can't focus. You just lose interest. So as long as you can somehow find an issue of how to learn to be safe, then there's nothing wrong with it at all. I think it's best when you have nothing to do. You just do it in your house. You just think about it, and through that process, you can become a lot better. And that's all. And that's my video. Subscribe if you want to be able to see my latest videos, and that's all I have to say.